Hello and welcome to Too Fast, Too Forever. There's all kinds of family, we chose this one. This is episode 157, Jacob's Ladder from 1990. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
I'm Joe too, and this episode is brought to you by the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. The U.S. National Memorial in Washington, D.C. honors service members of the U.S. Armed Forces who fought in the Vietnam War. So thank you to them, and thank you to the Vietnam Veterans Memorial.
Well, thank you to them, and as a reminder in the Memory Loss Lap, tomorrow night, if you're listening to this the day it comes out, Saturday, January 2nd, we are doing a watch-along of The First, The Fast, and The Furious to kick off Lap 8. So join us for that, please.
It's true. And you know what? I remembered something and we forgot to say it, and it's too late now. We forgot to remind everyone that CNN's New Year's Eve...
Oh, that's true. I mean, you can put it on Twitter, though.
That's exactly what I'm going to do. So I'm going to put it on social media. Hopefully you guys all watched.
Because this is New Year's. It's New Year's Day. Happy New Year.
Yeah, so Happy New Year. Hopefully you watched last night's broadcast, because it's always a blast, and I'm highly recommend it to everyone every year. So hopefully you guys gave it a shot, and I'll definitely put it on social media, so you probably saw me talking about it there last night.
Hopefully last night you watched New Year's Eve on CNN, and hopefully tomorrow night you will join us. I already sent out the save the date, kind of, and then I will send out a Discord link. Same link as last time. If you joined us last time, it's the same place. But we'll send that out tomorrow by tomorrow for you, so keep an eye out for that. But Joe, extracurricular activities, what have you been up to? It's been a week since we recorded. We have had Christmas in between, so what have you been up to since we last spoke?
We had like a really chill Christmas. It was just Rachel and I. She made some tacos. I mentioned that I mentioned them to you like at some point, but Rachel made these tacos. A lot of people have been posting about birria tacos.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like this like beef kind of stew. You take the tortilla and you put it in the fat in the top of it, and then you fry them and make them like that. And she made those again for Christmas, and that was like really, really awesome.
It was just you guys, because Rachel's parents came up for Thanksgiving, so it's just you two for Christmas?
Yeah, it was just us two. Well, normally like Rachel's family does like they alternate cities. Like they like either go to her aunt's city or her aunt comes to her mom's city, but you know, pandemic. So yeah, it was just us two. We watched some Christmas movies. She had never seen Die Hard, so she watched Die Hard for the first time.
Did she like it?
Yeah, she loved it, actually. She like really, really loved it. We watched Home Alone 2, because she had never seen Home Alone 2 either.
Starring Donald Trump.
Oh, of course. Pre-presidential Donald Trump. You know, we were going through a bunch of Christmas movies that she hadn't seen before. We watched like some of the classic like animated style ones, like the claymation kind of ones, and did that and just drank and hung out for a couple days. In this Christmas drunken stupor, one of the things we were like really excited about was playing Crash Bandicoot, because like we had bought the Crash repack.
Yep.
So we started playing that again, and they re-released Crash Team Racing, which was like my favorite racing game. So like I got that too, because I had like a bunch of, you know, we've talked about it before, but like I had a bunch of Bing rewards, so I just used it to buy like an Xbox gift card.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and so I got the Crash Team Racing one. We've been playing through those at night now for a couple hours, just because it's like mindless and it's kind of nostalgic, right? I know that I got one of the Crashes on Christmas, like from my parents, so like I think that that's what really like hit me like on Christmas. So like I was like, oh, I want to play Crash again, and like the remastered ones look fucking beautiful. I don't know if you've played them or seen them.
I bought the 3-pack. I never played Crash Team Racing, so I didn't buy that again, but I bought the 3-pack. I have not played that yet. Or wait, hold on. And I'm not sure which is which. I know that I have both. So they put out a remaster of the 3 Crashes.
Yes.
They put out a remaster of the 3 Spyro games. And I played the Spyro games on PS1. I played some of the Crash. I never played a ton of Crash. But I bought one of them, and the other is included in this, like,
bundle?
free PS4 games thing on PlayStation 5. Like, they have, like, 20
Okay.
games that are just free. So I know that I own both, but I don't remember, but like I haven't played either because I just haven't been playing a lot of games. But it does feel like this is like kind of like this past year has been like a year of nostalgia for the original place. Like I guess a 20-year-ish sort of throwback or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. I was always like really big into Crash as a kid, and I remember like me and my friends would just play to like 100% them, because like it gives you like a percentage meter too. And actually there's like hidden platinum relics where like if you do the time trials so fast, and this was like pre-internet, like we didn't even know what the times were. So like if you do the time trials so fast, you can get like a relic that isn't like in there. There's like a bonus one. We would do like the levels that we liked to complete them like that, and we got to like 105% of the game or something at one point. I don't know which one, but like I know that we were just playing like a ton of this like all summer, one summer. Nothing super crazy, just hanging out doing stuff like that. What about you?
So Christmas, my sister had driven up here. Like I said, she came up for my
Yeah,
birthday, and she was here for like 2 weeks. So I went over there a bunch with my parents' house, so that was
cool.
good. I remember, speaking of PlayStation at Christmas, I remember we got the original PlayStation. I don't know if it was the year it came out or maybe the year after, but I know that we got it on Christmas. 'Cause I remember my dad gave us each a PlayStation game, and we thought that he had messed up because we were like 10 and 7 or whatever, right? We're like, Dad, we don't
Oh.
we don't have this. Like, what did you? And then like the last thing, like there was a cool video going around Twitter this year of like this kid, like this probably like 5-year-old kid, who got a PS5, and he was like super amped, and he was like, "Let's go!" And he's like, I let him open all the other presents first, and then I brought this out. And I don't think it was like I don't think he got PlayStation 5 games, but whatever. But it was one of those like, oh, like I don't know why we
And
got
you,
this, and then we're like, oh god. So I remember getting that on Christmas one year, and I remember getting Final Fantasy VIII, which is one of my favorite games of all time, on Christmas one year. And I remember playing it and like just watching this like opening cutscene in
yeah,
front of like my whole family, and like me like even aware like at that time like, oh, they have no idea what the fuck is going, like it's just like I don't understand what's going on, but like they're just like, why are these like Japanese high schoolers like fighting each other with swords, like what is this game?
yeah,
I had a bunch of family time over at my parents' house. My sister is a good cook. She cooked a whole bunch, so I have a lot of leftovers still.
nice. That's she stocked you up, bud. That's good.
She did, yeah. I basically haven't, it's been earlier in pandemic. I was like going 5 weeks or something, like a month between grocery store trips. Like I did like a 2 week stock up before, so I could essentially quarantine myself. And then I haven't gone in the last like almost two full, or like a week and a half, I guess now additionally, because like every time I go over there, they're like, here's a bunch to take home. So like I'm almost through them now, but yeah, it's been a while. I read 3 books in the last week because I was
Damn.
trying to finish my year end, and I got to my goal. But the weird thing is that I finished the book. The book I finished today was this book
Yeah.
called Cherry, and it's about it's written by this former army medic turned heroin junkie bank robber who wrote
Whoa.
it from prison.
Whoa.
And
Okay.
so it's crazy,
You're
and
talking my
it's
language. Is it
kind of
good?
autobiographical. It is really good because it's kind of like, my friend Bob recommended it to me, and he's like, it's the book about the Iraq War because
Oh.
it doesn't glamorize it. It's just like, he makes it feel like it's a shitty day job.
Okay.
So there's that part of it, and then it's like the opioid epidemic, and then like there's like legitimate, like real bank robber shit. So this guy went to prison and wrote this book in prison. But the weird thing, the reason I bring this up now, and this part isn't weird, but they're adapting it into a movie starring Tom Holland, which seems a little bit weird because he does not
That
seem
is weird.
exactly that kind of person. It's also going to be directed by the Russos, who did the Captain America movies and the later Avenger movies, so like he knows them, whatever.
Yeah.
But the weird thing is that I finished the book today, and I went on YouTube to find a trailer because it's tentatively scheduled to hit Apple TV Plus in February, and there's no trailer. And so like I don't know why that is. I don't know
So
if
it
it's
should be
not.
already done. Like this should be like done.
Yeah, I don't know if it's not coming out in February, but like on IMDb, it's like listed as like February whatever 21. So I was like, oh, now that I know what the story is, like I'm gonna watch the trailer because like, I haven't seen the movie, but like I want to see how they adapt it or whatever, right? And
Yeah, of course.
no trailer out. I'm like, huh, all right. So
I don't
maybe it's
think you're
not
getting it
coming
in
out
February.
in 6 weeks. I don't know, but
I don't.
yeah, that's that. What else have I been up to? Anything of note? I don't think so. Just been watching lots of movies and TV and stuff. I will have put up at some point, probably by today, a blog post on CageClub.me with my favorite stuff of the year. I don't think I'm gonna do like a writing thing. Like I'm thinking I'm just gonna do like lists of stuff, and I'm not going
Okay,
to like
cool.
explain it just because I would rather watch things than write things this year. But
Okay.
if people are interested in my favorite movies and TV and stuff, go on there.
They're always good recommendation lists. Those are
Thank you,
cool.
thank you. My top 10 does make me look like a basic bitch though. Like I have one friend who's like really into film. Like he and I and another friend share a Criterion Channel subscription,
Okay.
and he every year writes this thing on Facebook like, all right, let me see your year-end list. Like let's put them on here, and I put mine on there like my top 10. Like because I've seen now I'm to like 154 from this year. Like I've seen like a shitload of movies.
Yeah.
And I think there's still a lot of really good movies. Like people are down on this year, and I think that's true. Even though next year is going to be like a real like aside from like the major movies, I think the back half of next year maybe and into the beginning of 22 is going to be like a real dry spell because like Hollywood
Yes.
shut down again. I've watched a bunch of movies. I think there's a lot of really good movies, but like I don't know that there's been a ton of great movies. So like looking at my top 10 and like Birds of Prey is my number 10. And, like I really like that movie a lot, but like that feels like a weird number 10
Birds
in
of
like
Prey
a
came out
year.
this year.
Yeah, it was February.
Fuck me, dude.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
This year never ended. Holy fuck. I feel
Yeah,
like Birds of Prey was
it's
like 2 years ago at this point.
no, it's February.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was my number one for a while, and then I saw a couple things, since then that has surpassed that. But like,
Rachel loved
yeah,
it, man. Yeah, she was
it's
super
a
into it.
blast, and like Harley Quinn's great, and I mean Margot Robbie's great as Harley Quinn. Like,
Yeah.
I was talking to my friend because a couple of friends want to rewatch the DCEU
Yes.
movies,
Okay.
and we were talking about like ranking them, and like I really like a lot of them, but like I was seeing if I ranked all my Marvel movies, like all the MCU with the DCEU, like where it would go, and like Birds of Prey is my favorite of the DC movies, but it would be like 10th maybe. Like there's so many more Marvel movies that I like more than
Yeah.
this, and this is still somehow like my number 10 movie. It's like just a weird year, right? So
Yep. Yeah.
yeah, Cage Club at me for that blog post, either today or soon, if not now. But trying to churn through my end of year media goals to put together a list that only I care about. But that's what happens every December, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
we have a Patreon page here on the show, toofast2forever.com. Shout out to Cassie Wilson, Jake Freer, Ben Milliman, Nick Burris, Alex Ellen, and Justin Kleinman, Brian Rodriguez of High School Slumber Party, Haley Gerbies, Wes Hampton, Christian Larson, Jerry Robinson, Dan the Duke Hayden, Renato DiDonato, and Jessica Collins, a.k.a. Montez.
Montez.
Thank you all so much for the $5 level or above support. Remember, starting next lap, which is starting in like a week and a half, we're going to have Patreon exclusive episodes, bonus
so
episodes over there
exclusive.
that
So
everyone's going to get
luxurious.
from $1 a month or more. I don't know if that podcast feed thing is working because it seems like there's one built into Patreon, which is free, and then there's one that costs like $15 a month. And I'm like,
What? Is it through Patreon too, or is it something different?
so Patreon has like a lot of like add-on features or whatever
Okay.
that like third-party apps essentially, and
Yeah.
there's this thing called Acast. We make a decent amount of money on Patreon, but we don't make a ton of money. Like we barely just cracked $100 a month, so it's not like we're like rolling in it and we have like
Yeah.
actual fees and stuff like that. So like it's not like we have lots of money, and so I'm like, I don't really want to spend $15 on a thing that like two people are going to use. So like if you're out there and if you have tried to do this like podcast feed on there, let me know. If not, like you can always download the thing directly from Patreon, or we can figure out a way. But
Yeah.
it's not going to be a bonus episode every week, but there will be at least 2, if not 3 or 4 next lap bonus episodes. So
For sure.
looking forward to that. Next lap, the Tokyo Drift lap is going to be a lot of fun, I think.
I'm really excited for it. I like the memory loss lap, and we did lots of good movies, but I think that we were always dreaming about the Tokyo Drift lap for sure. So yeah, there's definitely some ones that we wanted to hit in here for a while.
One thing that you and I have to decide, which I thought about recently and have not brought up to you offline, but we need to come up with a question, a conversation starter for for episodes with Heather at least. Like we have the most Letty moment, but like we need a question ostensibly about Tokyo Drift, but not hopefully not racist. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like what's the most Japanese part of this movie? Like that's not good. Or like how would
No.
you adapt it to Japan? I feel like we would just fall into the same thing every time. Or like
Yeah.
we got to do something. Or it doesn't have to be about that really.
I have an idea. Who is the coolest character in this movie to you? Do you
Ooh,
like
ooh.
that?
Coolest character or cool? How about coolest moment?
Coolest moment. Is that cool?
I
Because
like
that like
it's
refers
very
to
cool.
Han, but she doesn't need to know Han to know the. You know what I mean?
Yes, that's very good. That's very good.
Okay, cool. I'm glad you like that.
And we can even do that in the pit stops too.
Exactly. That's what I mean. We could. Yeah, you can. Like it's like the most Han moment without talking about that we're focusing on Han for her.
We were gonna do eventually, like after, which we never did this lap, but we were gonna do in addition to what's the most Letty moment, like what's the thing you remember most or whatever. Like there was like some kind of like memory loss thing, but we didn't want to spoil that for Nico and Kevin. We'll be like, hey, so by the way, like this Letty lap, like
Yeah.
someone loses their memory, like just like not gonna do that or whatever. But
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, we could do it like what's the cool moment, and then like eventually when she meets Han, we'd be like, what's the Han moment? Like she's gonna meet Han early. We'll figure it out. But yes, cool moment, cool character. I like that a lot. That's really good.
Yeah. Coolest moment, coolest character. Okay.
Very, very cool. Very.
Who
very
exudes cool? Not even like coolest. Like who exudes just like coolness, right?
Cool. Yeah. We also have a shop at toofast2forever.shop. I'm going to put up another design as I've been rearranging. So here's another annoying thing. So my boss prepped my computer for me. He tuned it or whatever. He like did all the Windows updates. But I'm like, I just like he's I think I've said this before in here. Like he signed in. I'm like, I need to sign in. So I'm trying to restore it to just fresh Windows.
Yeah.
And I needed to download the cloud recovery tool, and then I put the model number in. It's like, this is invalid. And I was like, God damn it. So like I had to chat with HP, and they gave me the right model number. So I downloaded it. I'm like, cool, this works. So I put it in there, and it's like, this is the wrong region. So like she gave me like the Canadian thing, and like that's the only way I could download. I'm like, oof. So I had to like
What?
chat with HP again. So they're mailing me a flash drive with recovery media on it, so which I will be able to use, whatever. So I still not be able to use my new computer.
God.
I'm just like in like hard drive cleanup, like every once in a while, just like, puttering around, like, what else can I move around or whatever? I found our old design, the thing that I wanted to do that I mentioned earlier this lap, that Ben actually reached out. He's like, hey, I'll help with this thing that I don't know what it is. I'm like, no, I can do it. And we just never did it. I found the Photoshop file. I'm like, oh, I should put that in the store. So like, we're going to put that in the store soon. I don't know if it's there yet, but I was just like, oh, right. Like, as I've been like just moving things from folder to folder, like, hey, like, let's just condense things. Like, I found that. I'm like, oh, we should do that. So
Definitely.
there's a new design going up very soon in the Too Fast, Too Forever
And it's
shop
excellent.
store.
Yeah.
Like we said, there's probably going to be sales every month, so just wait, and there's going to be sales, and so we'll tweet about it or whatever. So, because TeePublic emails me like 3 times a week. It's just like, hey, here's tips. It's like, we're not actually running an e-commerce business. We're fine. Relax.
Yeah.
Thank you, though. We also have an email address here on the show, family@cageclub.me, and Joe, we have 4 emails.
Okay.
First up, from Alex Ellenin.
Hi, Alex. What's up?
Subject line, Merry Christmas all. He sent this on Christmas Eve. He says, just wanted to tell you guys Merry Christmas, and I just got the remote taken away from me because apparently watching Tokyo Drift at 10:45 p.m. on Christmas Eve is, quote, not in the Christmas spirit.
What?
Oh yeah, it's on Telemundo too, so yes, it is in Spanish.
I think that it's a movie about giving, movie about rebirth.
Feliz Navidad.
It could be the perfect Christmas movie if you ask me. But hey,
any movie's a Christmas movie if you try hard enough.
that's yeah. I don't know if you guys know that, but that's like a common saying that I like to say to all of my friends all the time. They'll be like that's not a Christmas, like that's not in anything, and I'll be like, anything is anything if you try hard enough. Any movie is a Christmas movie if you try hard enough. Exactly.
I saw a thing this week, or not this week, maybe this week, this month definitely for sure, that argued that the Lord of the Rings is the best Christmas movie because, like, hey, it's got elves in it. I'm like, I respect that. Like, I don't know if I agree with that, but I respect the hustle. So
yeah, you put the
you.
time and effort into this, so yeah, I like that part of it. But like,
that's why English classes were the best, because it's like you could just come up with any wacky theory and be like, yeah, that's what I think this book's about. It's like, well, you're not right, but like you have evidence, so
yeah. And if it's like a novel or something, like, of course, yeah, you could just make whatever you want.
Thank you, Alex. Merry Christmas. Next email from Jason Dickinson. So here's a little bit of a drama. I responded to a thing that he posted. I don't know. He's been, I think he's getting a little antsy. He's getting a little upset at the Fastiverse. I don't know if you've seen these posts.
He's been messaging me too, bud. Yeah, he's been sending me messages. He said he was nervous that we were upset with his takes, and I was like, no, man. Everybody has your opinion. You're fine. You can say whatever you want, dude. Like,
yeah, he put on Facebook recently. He said, "What's the worst movie for 8?" Earlier, he was like, asked the question, which is this email he sent in. After being delayed 5 times, the question remains: will the long wait for the overhyped Fast 9 be worth it? I say no. Because he put on the wall like something about it, like, I'm over it. I'm like, are you not excited for this movie anymore? He's like, no, not really. I was like, damn. And if they lost Jason, like, that's...
Well, we also know that Jason said that he wasn't watching them again until it came out, and that's a lie. So I think that he's just a little bummed right now. I think that when it comes out, I think that he'll be back on board. I'm hoping.
Just when he thought he was out, pull him back in.
Exactly what's gonna happen.
The Fast and Furious Part 3: The Death of Dominic Toretto.
Oh.
They re-released Godfather 3 as The Godfather Coda: The Death of Michael Corleone. I guess that's a spoiler, but that's what the movie's about. He's an old man. So that's what The Godfather 3 is about. So
yeah.
If you're out there and you have some hot takes, if you're disappointed in F9's delays or you're not excited for it, let us know. Family@cageclub.me. Last 2 emails are both from Wells. First one, in response to our watch party, says, "About time. I've been waiting for another Discord stash. Love it." So Wells will be there, hopefully.
Cool. Wells is always having a good time, and it's always good to hear from him, so I'm glad that he'll join as well.
Plus, this is the final weekend in the NFL season. There might be some games on Saturday, but it's also like, hey, Mahomes isn't playing, so like if your team's locked, if they're like locked into a thing, like,
Yeah.
I have been off the hook for several weeks now. Like, I mean, I watched the game on Christmas where Alvin Kamara scored 6 touchdowns. So I was like, at the end, I was just like, please don't give up 50, because like they had like 45 or whatever, and they were like driving. I'm like, just make one fucking stop. And nope.
But you got to see 6 touchdowns by a guy that's cool, right? Like I like
Kamara. Yeah.
You can't hate on him. He's not like, I mean.
But it's one of those things, like most rushing touchdowns in a game, it's like guy in 1929, Alvin Kamara versus Minnesota. It's
yes, versus your team. That really sucks. I get it.
Our other email, the final email today, also from Wells. Subject line: holidays are over. Back to business.
Okay.
Quick funny story. So my dad bought The Irishman on Amazon. I mean, it's just on Netflix. So like,
yeah. What? How did he buy it on Amazon when it's free on Netflix? Okay.
I mean, you can buy it, right? Like I bought El Camino, but like I own all of Breaking Bad, so I'm like, I just want that.
Yeah.
Like, that's a collector's thing. But like, yeah, The Irishman's never gonna not be on Netflix, right? So
yeah.
No.
Okay.
Well, says I haven't seen it, so I go over to my parents' house for movie night. All four of us were there, so it was nice. I picked up a pizza from Tony's, got there around 7.
Oh.
I like that he's like, I don't know where Tony's is. I don't know who the fourth person is. Like, just
Well,
we're in
Wells
the
and I
family,
have
though.
talked about pizza before, so I think that Tony's is one of his one of his favorite pizza places.
Okay.
So yeah,
Cool.
because we talked about like making dough and stuff like that. He sent messages. We've talked
Okay.
about pizza.
I was excited. I really wanted to watch it. Everyone I know said they enjoyed it. He puts the DVD in. He puts the DVD in. It's not reading. After a few minutes, I ask him for the DVD case, and he hands me a CD case. Immediately, I know what happened. He accidentally bought the soundtrack instead of the DVD. I started laughing, but he was actually kind of upset. I was too, but what can you do? I felt so bad. I bought it from him on eBay, and it arrived yesterday. I'm heading back there to watch it tomorrow night. Old people and the internet is a funny thing.
Why doesn't he have Netflix? Why didn't you
Don't
just
know.
like cast it from your phone, bud?
Don't
Come
know.
on, man. That story's very complicated.
If you have any device that's been manufactured in the last decade, Netflix is on there, right?
Yeah,
Like,
anything.
I have 6 things connected. Like my TV has Netflix, my TiVo has Netflix.
Yeah.
Every video game system has Netflix.
Yeah.
Fire Sticks have Netflix. Apple TV has Netflix. So like, you can get Netflix on your TV. I don't know. Even do a trial. Like even if you don't want to pay for Netflix, just I don't know.
Somebody has to have. You have somebody's account at this point in your life.
Right.
Some friend, some aunt, some dad. You have somebody's account. So
You would think. Another congrats for 150 episodes, Brosifs.
thank you, sir.
Went to Rasputin today. Got 12 DVDs for $12.
Oh,
Deals.
all
One of them is a
day.
Stone Cold Steve Austin movie. Parentheses, I buy all his movies. Guess who's in it? Here's a hint. Man, white boys work fast, don't they? But I'm disappointed, though, because he's not Hector. He's Rex. Wasted opportunity to keep the tradition alive.
Like Rachel and I just looked it up because I think I posted it on social media, but there was like one night that we were like watching SVU or something, and he was in that too. Or no, it was CSI Miami, except he was looking for his friend Hector. They kept saying Hector around him, and I was like, is his name Hector in this too? And it's like, no, his name was like something else. But he was like his best friend was Hector, and he was like protecting Hector. I really wish that they should just keep this tradition. Like he should just always be Hector in every movie because it's just funny to me.
What's weird is that his name isn't Hector. Like,
No,
I could see
no.
it being... He's like, we realized last episode or 2 episodes ago, we missed an opportunity. Noel, the movie Noel, his name is Noel Guglielmi, right? Like, we could have
Yes.
just said the movie was about him, dropped that ball. Certain actors, like Tony Danza is always Tony, right? Like, it's just like...
Yes.
People joke about, like, oh, he can't remember another name, so, like, they just call him Tony, right? So, like... But it's not like his name is actually Hector. He's always called Hector. It's just his name is Noel, and he's always called Hector. It's a weird thing.
He just looks like a Hector to everyone else. Mildly racist.
Super, super weird.
Yeah.
Another movie I got from Rasputin is called The 108 Stitches. It's a low-budget baseball movie. The soup Nazi from Seinfeld is in it.
Oh.
He's the coach, and they make a new No Soup for You reference. I thought that was pretty cool. Oh, by the way, speaking of references, watched Wonder Woman 84, and there is a line in there, which I will spoil for you if you want me to, or I
Yeah,
won't say it if
please.
you don't.
Please spoil for me. Yeah, that's fine.
As we all know, what my favorite line that Gal Gadot says in any of the Fast and Furious movies is in the beginning of 6, she and Han are out to dinner, and she
Yes.
orders for herself another language. He
Yes.
goes, how'd you do it? She's like, I'm a citizen of the world. And
Yes.
so in this movie, they go to a place and they need help from this guy, and he's like, I'm a citizen of the world. I'm like, how is that? That's gotta be a Fast and Furious reference.
It has to be. Yeah, I saw Wes message us about it too. He was like, "Did you catch this Fast and the
Yeah,
Furious?"
he said he
reference?"
read my review, and
That's perfect. It's beautiful.
I mean, like that. If it's not, I don't know. But yeah, that's for sure.
It can't
right?
not be. This is. I think that they did a better job than we always complain that the Fast and the Furious writers don't do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
just drop me a. Can you smell what I'm cooking by The Rock at some point? Right. Like, come on. Like, let's just do it.
Wells goes on. I love war movies and I love sports movies. A bad sports movie is still entertaining to me, but a bad war movie is the worst thing in the world. I try to always find a reason to appreciate a film, but you buy every war movie that Rasputin has to offer, you're going to find some duds like The Lost Patrol. Do you know The Lost Patrol? I don't know if I do.
No, I've never heard of this.
There's a couple different ones. There's one from 1934, which I'm just guessing. It's a John Ford movie, who's a great director. I'm assuming it's not that one. There's one from 2009. That's only a short. I don't know which one you're talking about, man. Let's
Okay.
find out. It must be foreign because the voices are dubbed and they don't match the mouth movement. All right, let's see here. Let's see.
There's a dubbed one. Okay.
There's one called Road 47. This one has like only has a 3.1 on Letterboxd. This is a Spanish language,
Possibly that.
Portuguese and Italian. So maybe that one. I don't know.
Maybe.
I'm forcing myself through it right now to get my dollar's worth, even though not finishing it would be the real reward. Take a page from my book, my new book, Bail. I got Joe to stop watching trailers, and he basically got me to stop watching things I don't enjoy. It's
Yeah,
not
just
you
stop.
directly.
Yeah, you don't have to. You don't have to suffer through it. It happens.
Time is precious.
Time is precious.
While we're on the subject, let me give you my 2 least favorite movies of all time. Here it goes, drum roll emoji. Oh no,
Okay.
I don't agree with this first one at all. I'm going to skip that one for now. But the second one, Boondock Saints 2. I've never seen that, but I'm okay with that.
I'm fine because I think Boondock Saints 1 is a severely overhyped movie.
Mm-hmm.
As we always describe them, like, college boy poster movies.
Yeah.
That's way up there, and in that sense, I do not enjoy it. I think it's a good movie. I just think it's way overhyped. But go ahead, Boondock Saints 2. I've never seen it.
And
Rightfully,
the other
like,
one, which is
go
the
ahead.
one that you bailed on that you said you hated, but I love,
What?
Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
not the worst movie of all time.
No, 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 no. Definitely not the worst movie of all time. But like, yeah,
I mean, my boss has said that Wonder Woman 84 is one of the worst, objectively one of the worst movies ever made. I'm like, I would love to be in your brain where, like, that's the worst thing you've ever seen.
this is a very, very fair point. I think about this a lot. People will be like, "That really sucked," and I'd be like, "Well, you haven't seen a lot of shit at all because that was definitely at least mid-range."
I have gotten Brian to admit as much that, like, I said to him, and I think it took him a while, but he messaged me back recently, Brian Rodriguez of High School Slumber Party. I was like, look, right now, like, people complain that, like, movies aren't what they used to be, that, like, the 40s and the 50s and the 60s and the 80s, like, all,
The
like, whatever,
golden
like, all the
era.
old movies, the 70s, they're all better, right?
Yeah,
My argument is that, number one, there's just more movies now, so there's just more objectively bad movies, so
fair.
number one.
Totally fair.
Number two, on the same side of that coin, back in the day, like, you don't remember, like, shitty movies from the 40s. Like, they just weren't preserved. You just don't watch them. Like, you watch Casablanca, right? Like, you don't watch whatever.
Yeah.
So, like, now there's just like, oh, a Netflix movie. Oh, that was bad. My other point is that the average movie, whatever an average movie is right now, is better than it's ever been. Like, there's more bad
100%.
movies, but, like, it's just better now. I don't think any movie today, unless it's, like, absolutely atrocious, could be, like, objectively, like, one of the worst movies I saw all year, like, one of my least favorite is the Fantasy Island reboot is awful, but, like, it still looks beautiful. Like, technically it's amazing. It's just
Yeah,
boring
yeah.
and predictable and
I loved
dumb.
it, and I enjoyed it.
I would say subjectively I hate it, but, like, objectively it's a fine movie. It's not good, but, like,
If you
whatever. Like,
went
I'm not gonna
back
be
and
like,
showed Fantasy Island in the 40s in a theater, they'd be like, "Holy fuck!
yeah.
This is
Yeah.
the greatest movie I've ever seen in my life." And you'd be like, "Yep, exactly. They all look
So
like this now." The talkies have gone nuts.
I know. I just don't get it when people are like, that was the worst thing I've ever seen. It's like, no, it wasn't. Like, people are just so prone to hyperbole now, but, you know. He says, I'll continue to send you movies. I can't stand the future emails, but these two, Tomar El Pastel, Prende la Gato, take the cake.
Oh.
I'm talking movies I'd rather get shin kicked with a pair of steel toe rip Kodiak work boots than watch.
Fair. I think this animosity in his list comes from remakes of movies that the originals are so great.
I get it.
And in that sense, I can agree. But in your sense of like, are they the worst movies ever? Definitely not.
Boy, oh boy. Like, I mean, I've never seen Boondock Saints 2 because I saw the first one once and I was like, yeah, okay, cool, I get it.
Got it.
Bros, I straight tweeted the Crossroads bit you did on my old account. I said, how do they mess up the soundtrack to Crossroads by not using Bone Thugs throughout the movie?
Yes.
Watched Wonder Woman 84 yesterday, whatever, shake my head. I still love Giselle Gadot. It's not her fault. Well, yeah. I mean, again, I think it's a fine movie. I think it's too long, and I think it's a little boring, but it's fine. I enjoyed it. Like, it's not great, but it's not bad,
Yeah.
I don't think.
That's cool.
Okay, bros, hope you have both had a good Christmas and a happy New Year. I'll see you guys in 2021. Peace. P.S. My Hobbs and Shaw DVD I bought from eBay didn't play, so I have to buy another one. It's a gamble on the bay.
Did you?
Oh, well.
Did you buy the soundtrack by accident, or did you buy the Hobbs and Shaw
Very, very good question.
I can't wait to talk to Wells again on Saturday. Well, tomorrow, according to the
Tomorrow.
episode. Yes.
You're only a day away. And that's all the emails. family@cageclub.me if you want to email us. I think now that the holidays are past, and now that we're going back to once a week, I think we'll have more emails per episode. But family@cageclub.me if you've not written in a while, send a note. Say hi.
Just say hi.
Family@cageclub.me. Joe, on the streets, news about the Fast and Furious.
I got
Nothing.
nothing.
I don't think, right?
No, I got nothing.
Then let's talk about the final thing to do before we take a break. The Fast and the Furious minute. Another deleted scene. Moving out.
Okay, here you go. You have a good one.
Thank you.
Where are you moving to?
Away.
Have you heard from Dom? You wouldn't tell me if you had.
No. What are you doing here? I thought your job was done. Officer.
Well, actually, I'm not a cop anymore. I quit, and they let me go quietly.
So what do you want?
What do I want? I want another chance. With you.
It's not gonna be that easy.
I've got time.
So in this scene, after the final confrontation between Brian and Dom, Tanner drops Brian off at 1327. Brian walks up to the garage, where he finds Mia packing. Brian and Mia talk about what happened. Brian asks her to take him back. We get a bit of optimism between the two, as the camera pulls out, up, and away to the Los Angeles landscape.
I was watching this again today, and I think that this is the most pivotal scene that we've removed. Like, when we were talking about Furious 7 deleted scenes last time, we're like, oh man, if you, like, remove Giselle, Letty, hospital things, like, a lot of things fall out of place, right? And stuff gets very weird.
Yep.
Removing this would make it very, very... I mean, like, if you left this in, 2 would have been a completely different movie.
That's what's insane. Like that, so this is a scene that I think when we talked about the scene in the episode earlier this lap, we talked about how it was not on the DVD. This is just a bonus one that's on YouTube. I don't know where it came from. So we don't know, like, we don't have the explanation, the explainer from Rob Cohen, why he cut it out. But if this was left in, either as the final scene in the movie, or a deleted scene, or after the credits, or whatever, it changes 2. It changes the turbocharged prelude,
Yep.
and it changes 4, unless they, like, break up between this and 2.
It would cause them a lot of more work to get out of this.
I wonder if they were going to put this on if there was never a second movie. Because this does kind of feel like we're never doing another movie, this is a happy ending.
Yes.
As opposed to just Brian goes off and does his thing, Dom's safe in Mexico,
Yeah.
we'll see what happens in the future. And I don't know, like, because this does feel like a definitive, like, changing the course of the future of the franchise.
Yep, 100%.
Very, very weird, though.
It's very strange to come back to. The only thing I could think of when I'm like watching through this, I'm like, this changes a lot of shit, and you'd have to course correct a lot. I mean, granted, they've done it, right? So it's not like impossible.
Right.
It would just be like a completely different second. Like, what's the reason that Brian goes to Miami then? You know, and like all of these type of things. And like, did they break up? Did they get back together? Because it seems like in 4, like they hadn't really seen each other, right? So
Not only is the Mia stuff here, but it also seems like he's okay with the cops. Like, he's like, the cops let me go, right? He's just like,
Yeah.
you know, they're not happy, but they let me go. So, like, he doesn't have to get chased out of town. And that's still a little weird, like, why he's not, like, pursued. Like, he's kind of pursued or whatever, but, like, he gets to Miami, he's working with, like, it's just, like, the whole thing, right? Like, he's working with the police.
Yeah.
So, but this does feel like a button, like if this is the only movie in the franchise, or not even a franchise, but if this is a standalone movie,
This is
what
the
you put
end.
at the end. But, like, at what point do you cut this out? And like, how do you release? Like, where did this come from?
I don't know. Yeah, that's the other thing. I have a question. Just like, where did this come from? Like, if we can't find it, it's not on the DVDs. It's a professionally shot scene. Like, this isn't like, you know, a storyboard or something weird. There's like Paul Walker and Jordana Brewster, like, in this scene. They acted it out, like, thinking this might be in the movie.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't fucking know, dude. I don't know.
This is also one of the longer deleted scenes that we'll do. This is 2 minutes and 20 seconds, so it's one of the longest of the deleted scenes. The weird thing, you made a note something that I missed that you found. You saw a for sale sign in front of 1327, but, like,
Yes.
Okay.
Which also changes a big part of the movie, right?
it does. So I guess if they're together, she's not going to leave. But, like, number one, is she going to... I was wondering if she's packing the entirety of 1327. But I guess if she's selling the house, then yes.
Yeah.
Will she actually move out of the house? Like, I wonder if in this version of the ending, if we get this instead of Dom in Mexico, if, like, they think Dom was caught.
It feels like that.
That would kind of understand, like, that would make more sense why the cops were more okay with Brian leaving.
Yes, I
'Cause they
agree
still
with
got
that
their
too.
guy.
It definitely seems like she wouldn't be leaving if Dom was just on the lam.
Because, like, this feels like the house they grew up in.
It is. Yeah, it definitely seems like that. It doesn't seem like they just moved there. It felt like, his dad's car was still in the garage, like.
And we know from earlier in the movie, in those 10 seconds or less I'm free monologue, that Dom feels the weight of the mortgage, right? He's like, the mortgage, the food shack, whatever, right? Whatever he says. Like, we know that the house is not paid off, which still feels a little weird, but, things
30-year
happen.
mortgage.
You refinance,
mortgage.
whatever, right?
Yeah.
It seems crazy to me. And I admit that this is a monumental life thing, that your brother was caught for being like, grand theft auto, like, major crimes, right? Like, grand larceny, whatever. He might be going to prison for a very long time, but it feels like a bold move to sell the house. Like, what do you?
No. I mean, like, look, she's probably gonna have lawyer bills now. And also, do you really want to like be there and be like the girl down the street whose brother got arrested and was like the head?
So you think she wants a fresh start?
Yeah, she's picking new life of what she would buy with her money. But I don't think that she's really going to get money. It's like lawyer fees and also just like not dealing with this anymore. Like, I can't be in this neighborhood. I can't be seen. Like, Toretto's Cafe is going to be gone. Nobody's going to go there anymore. Or like they're going to know the story of it at least. So she just like doesn't want to deal with this. She can just start over somewhere else.
I also wonder if maybe she was feeling trapped in this location, and this is kind of like, she doesn't, obviously, I don't think she would want her brother to be like arrested, but like maybe she's like, this is actually finally my chance to like get away.
Oh,
like,
you know what else?
Because I had to be here for the family business, whatever, right?
You know what else? Is that she's getting ready to go to college.
Mm-hmm.
So like, what is she going to do with this house? Like, there's no Letty around because they're all in trouble. So like, and they don't have like extra family, right? Like the only people we see and get referenced are like their friends. So it's like not even like anybody's gonna be able to take care of it. So maybe she's just like, fuck it, I'm selling the house, I'll go to college, I'll just get the fuck out of here.
It seems crazy at first until you think about it. You're like, maybe it makes sense. Whether it's by choice, by necessity, by a combination of the two.
Yeah, I would want to like not deal with this. And she doesn't have like kids or like anything holding her back. So like, if I was whatever she's supposed to be in this movie, 18 or 19 or whatever.
Young, yeah. Probably 18.
Probably
'cause she's
18.
in high school, right? She's studying to go to college.
Yeah, her brother wants her to be pre-med, is like what we established. So she's like 18. What?
No, I'm doing her impression of
sorry.
Dom.
Yeah. Sorry. I thought you like coughed or something. This is a perfect time to just like restart. Like, she can go to like a different city and be like, okay, I'm a college girl now. What happened to your family? They live in LA. Whatever. Doesn't fucking matter. Like, you could just like disappear.
I got another brother though that we won't know about for another 20 years.
Yeah, that I didn't know about. Well, we honestly don't know how it goes.
The only other note that I made here, Brian says a line that I was like, oh, he absolutely is the kind of guy to say this. He goes, well, actually, I'm not a cop anymore. It's like, well, you're gonna actually her? Like, it's so on brand for him. Like, well, actually, I'm not a cop anymore. It's like, okay, cool, man, thanks, cool.
Yeah, sick. Good job, bro. So this one's hard to see, obviously. I'm sorry I keep saying that, but it's fucking hard to see. And like, I'm watching these with my face 2 inches from my screen, brightness all the way up. She's putting racing helmets. When he first walks in, she's packing away racing helmets, and she's packing them into a Corona Light case, which I thought was kind of cool. I saw a new racing sign. The for sale sign is pretty cool. I wish I could read what the selling company was, but they used the 555 number in this one. I definitely caught the 555 at the beginning.
Okay.
It looked like it was like maybe like Harris or something, but I can't find it. And then I saw another racing sign that we didn't see from the other angle. This would have been a great shot if it was in high def, because we see the garage from different angles that we didn't see when he does the, for those 10 seconds or less.
Also, like, the car is not in there. Like, we're actually seeing more, just actually literally more of the garage, because it's not like a third of it's not taken up by a car.
That too, but this shot is like pitch black as well. It's just
Starring
like
Vin Diesel?
It's not lit. What?
He was in a movie called Pitch Black.
Oh,
Thank you.
Yes, it's like a very, very dark scene. So, but I did see another racing sign. I can't figure out what it said. It said like either August 7th or November 7th, and then said something that like looked like it wrote mascot along the bottom, but I can't read that either because like you get blocked by the pole. The Corona case was the main thing I saw, and the for sale sign. So she's already established that she is selling the house. Like she's contacted someone that put a sign up, so it's on.
Just a note to people listening: we are going in, like, we went in the order of the deleted scenes on the disc, and now we are entering the territory now of the ones that are not on disc at all. So there's a couple more that we're doing. I think there's 2 more that we're going to cover next week, but this one and those are just on YouTube. And so all of these, like, I wish it was better. Like, we had that chance in the past. We do not have that chance. Like, this is like, we got what we got, and that's all we can get. So, these are the kind of like, they're meatier scenes. Like, there's, the Vince, like, the mother, coming from the hospital thing, and there's the longer, like, them at the garage. Like, there's stuff that's still really good stuff left that, like, I don't know why it's not on the disc, but it's on the disc. So,
or why they never remastered it anywhere. Because, like, they have the film of it. It existed to be put on digitally. Like, why didn't you just scan it again? I guess nobody cares but us.
Any other notes about this deleted scene?
I'm just still trying to piece together in my head, like, what kind of repercussions you'd have if this existed still. And that's crazy.
It would change everything.
It would change everything.
In a couple different ways, yeah. All right, Joe, let's take a break and let us bring in a very special guest to talk about Jacob's Ladder.
Welcome back to Too Fast, Too Forever. This is episode number 157, Jacob's Ladder. This episode's brought to you by the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. The memorial wall was designed by American architect Maya Lin, who in 1981, while an undergraduate at Yale University, achieved national recognition by winning a design competition where she planned the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Washington, D.C. So shout out to the Vietnam Veterans Memorial and Maya Lin.
And Yale University. Well, welcome back to the show. With us today again, I don't know how to phrase these episodes, because this is not the end of the lap, because next week we have Fast and Furious Spy vs. Sahara.
Ending.
So, like, there's still more. I do feel like, and this is not a reference that you will get, Joe, but our guest will get, like, it feels a little bit like the pre-taped call-in show, where, like, every episode is, like, kind of the end, but not really the end. Like, we had the tune-up, which was kind of the end. Now we have this, which was supposed to be the end of the lap, but it's not the end of the lap, because we have 2 more episodes. Anyway, This was going to be kind of the masterclass for a reason we will talk about. But with us today to talk about Jacob's Ladder, we have our resident religious and theology expert. He's got his very own podcast here on the podcast network, Hard to Believe. We have Mr. John Brooks. Hello, John.
Hey, I'm super excited to be here.
Welcome to the show for the very first time.
Now your family.
It's official.
I think I asked John forever ago, like, hey, when you have the podcast, like, do you want to come on and talk about Fast and Furious? And you said something like, oh, I don't like those movies.
No, I didn't say that.
What'd you say?
I've never seen one of them.
Oh, well, that's a different story.
Yeah.
And boy, do we have an entire lap for you later down the road.
If you like it, you'll be trapped here. It's like Hotel California.
And I've still never seen one, by the way. It's like not having a tattoo. Like, I hit a point in my life where I didn't get a tattoo at that point, and I'm like, well, I'm never getting a tattoo, because I'm like 41 now, right? So
yeah, that's how it works.
There's now 17 Fast and Furious movies. I'm never going to start and watch them all. So it's whizzed past me like Paul Walker in I don't know. Is that
close enough?
Thing?
You're good.
It will never cease to amaze me when we find another person who is so pop culture literate and so into franchises, both like Star Wars and Alien for you specifically, who just have somehow willfully or accidentally seems impossible, just completely avoided this entire franchise.
I wouldn't say I avoided it. I think there's this is how I talked about anime when I was in college, that I had a lot of friends who were huge anime fans, obviously, and like, I've seen Akira, and like I watched Voltron growing up or whatever, but they're all like, you gotta watch this and this and this. I'm like, nope, I don't do anime. Like, it's not in my nerd budget, right? And so...
Oh, that's a very good way. I have said about anime, I just don't have time for another rabbit hole.
Right, exactly. And I feel like at this point, Fast and Furious has so much internal mythology, and I just would feel like I would be jumping on a bandwagon that left a long time ago.
No.
And it's not in the budget.
It's really not that. It's not that much internal mythology. In a great way.
You're joining us on the show when we don't even have to talk about the Fast and Furious, because you're here to talk about a movie in our memory lost lap. So, okay, before we talk about the movie itself, Joe, you've never seen this movie. You did not know about this movie. So you did not know? Did you know the twist of this movie or no?
Nothing. I went
Did
in
you
completely blind.
Did you figure it out or no?
No, I didn't know where it was going the whole time. I was like, okay, I thought they were smoking some like funky weed, but like how we get there, what's going on, the twist at the end, no. I picked up like the weed was probably laced. That's as far as I got.
So it is the most laced weed. If you want to compare it to weed, like it is the most laced weed. Like the actual backstory behind this is insane. But I had never seen this movie before. But this is, I think, and John, you can back me up here, maybe the like most famous, other than maybe the Sixth Sense kind of twist, and like people call like on How It's Get Made, there's a joke like a Jacob's Ladder scenario. Like people like refer to this twist as the Jacob's Ladder ending.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
In the sense of what? Because we can spoil
In the sense
it
that
now.
he was dead the entire time.
Well, maybe he was dead the entire time. Right, and that's kind of part of the twist, right? Is that it's all ambiguous, but that is one way of reading it, and maybe the most sort of surface level way of reading it. But yeah, in the same way of the Sixth Sense, whereas the Sixth Sense does it in a different way and like plays with that idea differently. What's happening to Bruce Willis in Sixth Sense is actually happening, whereas with Jacob, it's a little bit different, right? Like, it's sort of a combination of like a meditation on PTSD, but also a analysis of this idea of like life flashing before your eyes, or like the like
the light at the end of the tunnel type
and
situation.
what it is to transition to death, and sure. So there's a lot of different levels to it, but yeah, like the suggestion at the end that he was dead the whole time. Yeah, I think it really is probably the first major motion picture where that's been like built around that idea.
Because I was trying to think of like what else would be on this level, and there's obviously the Sixth Sense, which is a spoiler, but I think people know that. Like people might not know this, but people know that. Saint Elsewhere, but that's a little bit different. Where like, Joe, do you know about Saint Elsewhere or no?
No.
So Saint Elsewhere was like an 8-season long or something, like a very long running TV show where in the very last episode you find out that like kind of I've never seen a minute of the show, but like some ancillary character who's in a coma had this, like the entire show just played out in his head.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is problematic because that means the majority of all of our popular culture is in his head.
Yes, because there's so many crossovers to other things. So like all of this exists in the Saint Elsewhere universe. But like
all in
that
Tommy's
feels head. From what I understand, that was like unearned and also felt like a real slap in the face because it's not like you spent 2 hours.
Yeah.
It's like 8 years of a show that's just like, fuck it, none of it happened. Fuck you for watching. It's like, what?
That'd be very unfulfilling as a viewer, I think.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you spoiled that because I never ever want to give that any of my time to be.
It's a great show. It doesn't ruin the greatness of that show. It really is.
Okay.
Like Denzel Washington it's where he got his his big start.
Oh, that's cool.
And like Howie Mandel in a dramatic role, and Mr. Feeney from Boy Meets World, William Daniels, aka Kit, is also in that show. It's a great show. Like it's worth watching.
That aligns here then in that this is a movie where Lewis Black plays a straight-laced doctor. Like I blink and you'll miss him. Kyle Gass from Tenacious D is somewhere in here. I don't know where. Like
what?
I don't know. Very weird.
Lewis Black was the doctor.
Mm-hmm. In the ice bath, because I knew Jason Alexander was in here.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, is that Jason? I was like, no, that's not him, because he shows up later. And I'm like, why do I know? I'm like, oh shit, that was Lewis Black. Okay.
Wow. No, I totally didn't catch Lewis Black. Damn. I mean, like I saw the doctor in the ice bath, but like I didn't put his face on it. And I was catching people everywhere. Like we thought like the one doctor might have been Christopher from The Sopranos, but it's not. He just also has a unibrow. Like, I mean, I definitely saw George. Like, I saw Marcellus Wallace.
Fucking Macaulay Culkin, man. Like, where I didn't know he was in this movie.
So, like, I caught a lot of people, but Lewis Black is not one of them. Whew.
It was weird. So anyway, the weird thing for me about this movie is that I knew the twist, ostensibly, or one reading the twist, but I knew literally nothing else about this movie. So I'm like, oh, it's a Vietnam movie? Like, that threw me off guard. Like, everything about this movie surprised me, and it still worked. Like, it's not like The Sixth Sense I knew, and I was like, okay, I kind of get it, and I think that movie does work, because, like, Night Shyamalan, like, he did a lot of layering, and he's able to, whether or not it works now, like 20 years later, I don't know, but, like, I remember when watching it 10 or 15 years ago, whenever it was. And I was like, oh, okay, because like I watched like director's commentary or like scenes where he's like, I'm using the color red here, and like he thoughtfully and thoroughly laid things out. But I was still like, I get it. Like it doesn't really, even here where I'm like, I know he's dead. It was insane. Like this was a wild ride of a movie.
It's a wild ride.
And I'm just glad that we get to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Same.
So John, how many times have you seen this movie a bunch? Is this movie you love? Because I had given you earlier this lap, I wanted to get you on the show. We gave you a list of like the episodes that no guests run, and I think you picked this and a couple others. But
Yeah.
what is your relationship with this movie? Have you seen it a bunch? Do you like it?
Yeah, I definitely do like it. It's not in the favorite movie category, but it's one of those movies when other people bring it up, I get really excited, because like not a ton of people have this on their radar. Around the time it came out, it definitely was a bit of a, I guess like one step above cult kind of phenomenon, right? Like it was really popular with like film nerds and fairly successful psychological thriller. And yeah, so I saw it probably within a couple of years of when it came out, when I was in my early teens, I guess, when I just started getting into indie movies and the just sort of the more artsy psychological stuff that young teenagers like to watch when they're nerds.
Intelligent films.
Yeah. And then I watched it again in a kind of different context in a philosophy and film class I took in college.
Oh, cool. That's really cool.
I've seen it once or twice since. Like I've shown it to a couple of people who I thought would like it. So yeah, I've probably seen it about 4 times, maybe 5 times over the last 25 years or whatever it is. I'm trying to think of when it came out. Was it 1990?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It works on a lot of levels. There's a lot of different ways of, as I said, reading it, what exactly it's trying to convey, which is interesting because that in some way, in a weird sort of very insider baseball kind of way, speaks to its title and the biblical reference therein.
In that regard, can you please explain to me, because I think I've heard of it,
Yeah.
but I don't know that I've heard of it without, like, beyond the scope of this movie. So, like, what is, because apparently the original version of this movie, like, the script and, like, even some stuff they shot was, like, way more biblical, like, super biblical.
Yeah.
They tie a lot of biblical stuff into it, yeah.
And the director, Adrian Lyne, who, like, kind of comes from this perfect background for this, because, Joe, he comes from, like, the erotic thriller background. Like, he did Fatal Attraction, he did your favorite Unfaithful, he did 9.5 Weeks, he did Flashdance, which was not exactly that, but, like, he's also got a new erotic thriller coming out with Ana de Armas and Ben Affleck. Like, he kind of comes from this, like, let's make a kind of pulpy, kind of steamy, weird-ass movie.
He made the remake of Lolita with Jeremy Irons as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He comes from this kind of background of, like, mainstream, make money, but also, like, do something that's a little weird and edgy and out there. And apparently they toned down a lot of the... Like, there was going to be a literal, like, staircase to heaven at the end of the movie. But, like, what is Jacob's Ladder?
So the character of Jacob in the Old Testament is one of the real kind of pivotal characters in the narration of the history of the Israelites. So he's the grandson of Abraham, and he's the one who, according to the narrative, sort of acts as the transition point from the Israelites as a group of people as descendants of Abraham to a kind of a religious group, right? So Jacob represents like the first Jew in any sort of like recognizable sort of way. So we get a lot more of, in Jacob's story, a lot more of a sort of it's much more human. Like you get a much more of an inner world with Jacob than you do with a lot of the other patriarchs who are much more sort of directly just kind of symbolic, two-dimensional in a lot of ways. And so one of the things that is introduced in Jacob's story is the very sort of narrow boundary between divine revelation and dream. There's a couple of really important stories in Jacob that are deliberately unclear as to whether or not he's dreaming or he's actually just experiencing God, right? And so the two ones that most people kind of are familiar with. One is when he wrestles the angel. In this story, Jacob basically sets himself apart from the rest of his party, puts himself like on one side of a river, and goes into this like meditative state and has this experience of an angel challenging him to a wrestling match, right? And they wrestle all night and declare a stalemate. The angel renames Jacob Israel, which means wrestles with God, right?
Oh, okay.
So there's that story, but the other much more enigmatic one is the Stairway to Heaven story, and this is also where we get the term Jacob's pillow, right? The idea of like a rock being a Jacob's pillow. So he gets this rock, and he's lying down in the middle of the desert and falls asleep, and he has a vision of a stairway to heaven, and or like a ladder. Sometimes it depends on how it's translated. Again, it's unclear as to whether or not he's dreaming or whether or not this is a real divine vision. He seems to be like seeing the kingdom of God or this like heavenly realm, and he sees these like angels going up and down it like an escalator or something. And
Okay.
what makes it kind of interesting is like nobody's really quite sure what it means. It's like it's the one, maybe the one major story in the Old Testament where the exegesis on it, which is to say the accepted interpretation, is really kind of all over the place. It might even be that it's so married to its historical context that it doesn't even make sense anymore. But it's this very kind of choose your own adventure interpretation of like what is going on here. Why was this an important thing to tell us? And the Bible gives no answers, right? And so I think it's pretty clever that the way this movie is written, taking that title and applying it to this sort of allegory where it's like not 100% clear exactly what we're supposed to be interpreting is going on here. It's some kind of mass hallucination, or he's actually been dead the whole time, or whatever. It's kind of up to you. Or even more to the point, like all of them work. Like
Yeah.
right, you can embrace every different interpretation at once. But that's the gist of the historical religious context to it.
Very interesting. Yeah, because I don't know. Like, Joe, what did you think of this movie? Because, I mean, you came in the barest of all. Like, did you enjoy it? Did you...
I really liked it. I found it very interesting, mentally stimulating. This is one of these movies that like I couldn't take a lot of notes on because I was trying to just keep up with the movie, right? To try to figure out what was going on. So I definitely enjoyed it. I liked the twist and the fun of it. But I also think that my like interpretation of it at the end when I'm like, oh, this is going on, I'm like, oh, that was just like purgatory for him, right? Like he's just like he's transitioning. They make a lot of like overt references to that like they reference like, oh, like, you know, you're just in purgatory until you can give up like what's holding you back and then you can go, and it feels like that's what they were trying to tell. But like every interpretation of this works. Like you can make an argument for any type of way that you like he's dead the whole time or he's hallucinating. All of it kind of works, right?
Because what's strange, so like I was watching it with the one specific reading of it that he was dead the whole time, or that he died in the beginning or whatever.
Yeah.
But like 3 times I think in this movie, people say to him, "You're dead." Like when he's getting his hand read, the woman's like, "Look, like your lifeline is over. Like you're dead, baby," or whatever. And then when he's at the hospital in that one scene where like his girlfriend is a doctor, and the doctor says to him twice, like, "No, you're dead, man." Like, and he's like, "No, I just have a problem with my back." And so like, if you know, or at least think you know, or whatever, like what's coming, like the movie does kind of say up front, like, yeah, we know that we're throwing weird shit at you, but like it's also like it's kind of straightforward at the same time. So it's a very strange, given the themes of our lap and just unreliable narrator and memory loss and not knowing who or where you are or what's going on, like kind of like I put it at the end for a reason. I don't know that it's necessarily the greatest example of what we've been talking about. It's also like one of the like weirdest examples that we've covered this lap.
And somehow the most comprehensive in a way, like you were saying, because it deals with all of these things at once, as opposed to just like highlighting like one specific, like, oh, just memory loss or just an unreliable narrator. It's like everything. So yeah, it was a good pick for the end, for sure.
I've often thought, like in rewatching it a few times, that there's almost something kind of sleight of hand about the number of references to him being dead so explicitly throughout the movie that in some viewings makes me think he's not dead, right? Because why would it be that? Why would they be that explicit about it unless it was something that you know what I mean? Like that he is actually contending with in his own mind.
Yeah, because he also has other points where he comes in and people are like, "No, you're alive.
Right,
you're home."
right.
So like they give you the other side of it. That's why like that's for me. It was feeling like this purgatory, like he's kind of being torn between both points, right?
Even if you do take literally within the context of the movie that he's dead, I think the way that it's supposed to be read is that it's a kind of a spiritual death, that he is coming undone because of the trauma of Vietnam, right? And that it's in a lot of ways, like it's meant to be an allegory. This he was dead the whole time and he's dead in the end. Part of it is meant to be an allegory for that sort of mental undoing or sort of psychospiritual undoing that so many Vietnam vets experienced because of untold number of reasons, including one thing they allude to, right, which is the idea of like being chemically gassed or experimented on
Yes.
by your own government. So yeah, like that's one of the things I also really like about the movie is that like you can't read The Sixth Sense another way like that, right? Like
Right.
Yeah.
The Sixth Sense is like about loss and letting go and all that, those sorts of things. But like there's no second layer or second interpretation to the fact that the character has been dead the whole time. That's explicit, and so it doesn't quite have that same kind of philosophical depth.
Yeah, like it's a much more straightforward movie too, right? Like it's
Yeah,
not only that
weirdly
you
it
just
is,
can't
right?
read
Yeah.
another reason. It's just like it's a ghost story, but like it's a ghost story like just a drama, right?
Right.
It's just like the guy is trying to get back with his wife, and that's it. Like this is literally throwing demons at you, right? They just like
Yes.
deal with this now. Like look around this corner. Like we're gonna walk through. Like we're not going to hell, but we're gonna go through a hospital. It's like sure as shit like hell. Apparently, every special effect in this movie was captured with no CGI, nothing. So like that crazy like head spinning was just filmed at like 4 frames per second, then like sped at the regular thing. So like he's just moving his head back and forth really quick. It all feels hellish and nightmarish because like
Yes.
that's what they're throwing at you. It's not like Bruce Willis falls out a window at the beginning of the movie and just like, hey, now it's like a regular cop movie or something. It's like, no, there's weird shit going on.
Yeah.
Apparently, so this is not only based on just the Vietnam PTSD stuff, but there was a scandal in the from 57 to 61. I might say this word wrong, but the thalidomide scandal. John, do you know about this?
Not in much detail. I
Is this
certainly
the drug scandal?
Yes. So there
I
was
looked it up afterwards only because like when I saw that like the end card, I was
Right.
like, what the fuck is happening here? So like I had to look into it.
So this is like unrelated from Vietnam though. So this is about pregnancies.
Was this the kids with with no arms?
Yes.
Oh,
so
right,
they,
right,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
They developed this pill or this treatment or whatever that ostensibly was going to combat morning sickness and as a
Yes.
sleeping aid, but instead led to 10,000 babies being born in Africa and Europe with like missing arms and like having like severe
They just
limb
wouldn't-
trauma.
Yeah, they wouldn't develop arms. They would just have like hands at the end of their shoulders. It was really awful.
And so they used that as the like you're saying the real life kind of effects of that as the basis for lack of a better word, like the horrifying like the creatures in this movie. And apparently also David Cronenberg used that in Scanners too. Like that's what that movie is kind of based on too. But like it's weird. Like I sort of expected in a way like a drug backstory, but not that one. Like I sort of like
Same.
you know like an Agent Orange or a DDT or something. Like, you know what I mean? But like to have something like completely unrelated but also directly related was like, oh shit! Like we have done people wrong for a long time in many
Yes.
different ways.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think capturing the full sort of spectrum of the hell of war is a really important thing to do in storytelling. And you know, I think like in one sense, like Saving Private Ryan does it incredibly well in sort of within the moment, the visceral feeling, right? Especially with the Normandy invasion sequence and
Yeah.
just like and the sheer just unpredictable unknowable terror of that. But I also think it's important to have movies like this that speak to the internal consequences and the internal hell, and using those like overtly religious and horror movie tropes and motifs and metaphors to make that happen, right? And I think this movie does that very, very well. Like the one thing that I hope that people interpret and get out of this movie, right, is that point. Like it's not just the Vietnam is not the device to tell a sort of psychological horror movie, right? It's the other way around. Right? It's like and it is a commentary on what especially wrong-headed wars and poorly executed wars do to the people that fight them, which is, I think that's a really powerful message.
I think that you made a good point, and something that I was thinking that kind of like plays on that. When I was trying to piece this into where this fits in, the grand scheme of like war movies I've seen, it feels so different, and I couldn't compare it to anything else. Like when it started out, I was like, oh, are we going a little Full Metal Jacket here in the beginning? They're sitting around like smoking weed. I was like, okay, they're making some dick jokes. Like I'm like, how is this going to play into our lap theme? Because I'm not, I have nothing coming into this. And no, it just plays completely different, and it fits its own path through this weird, like you're talking about. There was many times that I thought that it wasn't purgatory, that he was just experiencing like huge PTSD bouts, and that these like were demons that he was conjuring in his own mind from the terrors he had to like witness.
Yep.
Like how that played into it too. So it's definitely like a movie that stands out in my head in that regard for sure.
There's one little side note that I want to think that just while we talked about, a minute or two ago about Saving Private Ryan, there's a funny little backstory that I was particularly caught wind of in the IMDb trivia was that the guy, Adrian Lyne, who directed this movie, was offered to direct The Bonfire of the Vanities, which is widely considered like this kind of like disaster of a movie, sort of. Mike loves it. I don't get it. Whatever. He turned that down to do this movie, and he's like, hey, I want to have Tom Hanks in the lead role here in the Tim Robbins role. And Tom Hanks is like, cool, I'm going to go do Bonfire of the Vanities. So like they both switched projects in a weird kind of way. Like they're ships passing in the night, sort of. But Tim Robbins is good here. Like I don't know him from Shawshank, obviously, and I've seen him in other stuff, but like he's good as like the kind of everyman flustered by like I can't figure out what the fuck is going on.
I love Tim Robbins as an actor, and he's one of my all-time favorites. And I can't imagine anybody else in this role. The idea of Tom Hanks playing this role, like he could do it, but it would be a very different sort of a movie. And in a weird way, like both of them, both Hanks and Tim Robbins at this point in their careers were, primarily kind of
Comedy.
Well, yeah, comedy, but also sort of like wholesome comedy, mass market, right? kind of comedy. So it's not just that this is not a comedy film. It's that it's an
aggressively not a comedy
not comedy film, right? It's not just a transition from comedy to drama. It's from comedy to very, very intense, character-focused psychological drama. And that Tim Robbins showed that he was able to do that without a second thought is remarkable. I mean, I think at this point he was basically, I think Bull Durham was really maybe his biggest claim to fame at that stage. I'm trying to think if there's anything else around that time. Like Hudsucker Proxy was later. Shawshank was a couple years later. So I think it was mostly like that was probably his highest profile role. And that of course is a like straight comic crazy. I mean, it's a great role. It's a great movie, but like he is the second banana, right? In a pretty lighthearted comedy. So this transition is pretty incredible.
Yeah, because like for Hanks, just for comparison, like he would have come off Big, Punchline, which is kind of a comedy, kind of a drama. Overall, not a great movie, I don't think.
Right.
The Burbs, Turner and Hooch, Joe versus the Volcano, and then like this. It's like none like this. That's not. It's as jarring probably when he like in a couple years from now will go to do Philadelphia, and it's like, oh, okay, like
right.
You do have it in you.
Right.
But, like,
I think that's a great like yes, it's almost exactly the same thing, right? The stark contrast between Tom Hanks in Big and then Philadelphia is very similar. I think actually The Player was around this time as well. I can't remember which one came first. I think The Player was after.
Player was 92.
Yeah, so this is a huge kind of like, 180 for Robbins, but yeah, he's amazing.
Also, like considering who was involved in the role, like Don Johnson from Miami Vice and Mickey Rourke both turned it down, but interested in it were Richard Gere, Dustin Hoffman, and Al Pacino, right? So like big names. And then for the female role, for the Jezzy role, which is Elizabeth Pena, got it, and like sadly I looked her, I'm like, what's she doing? And she drank herself to death, unfortunately, like 6 years ago. So like,
yeah, sad,
kind of devastating. But in the audition for that role were Jennifer Lopez, Andy McDowell, Madonna, Demi Moore, and Julia Roberts. Like this could have been a wildly different. Like that's still early for a bunch of them too. Like
imagine Richard Gere and Julia Roberts, and that's Pretty Woman, and that's or is it right after? It's right around the same time. But like imagine that being their next.
Or Madonna.
I think Pretty Woman's the same year. Like that's the
like,
I guess
I think you're maybe
so
that's why they turned it down. Maybe Gere turned it down to do Pretty Woman. Who knows? But Richard Gere I could actually see in this role. Again, it'd be a slightly different movie. He's another actor that I absolutely love.
Well, because he also does the Adrian Lyne thing in Unfaithful, right? Like he has that kind of unhinged whatever, right? So
yeah, and also the sort of like weird psychodrama in Primal Fear, which there's a lot of similar aesthetics to those two movies as well. But Mickey Rourke I didn't know about, and that's actually someone else who I would love to see in this movie that lead as well. Because like Mickey Rourke at that time in this movie would have been amazing because he was phenomenal until he got all weird and then came back.
I think it was on an episode of Keanu Club that you were on that we invented that machine. It's not a time machine, but it's like a recast a movie and like watch that movie with whoever you want in it.
Yeah.
That's what I want here.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to talk about some like just like the weird visuals. Joe, did you have something in particular here that you like, particular visual or a scene or a creature or an effect or something that just is going to stick with you?
Doctor with the no eyes is pretty deep in my brain. I think that face is shown in like the subway and in the car too, maybe. And like that one, I don't think that I'll forget that for a while. Do you have any that are like really vivid in your head?
I mean, there's the hospital sequence, but there's also I remember because I just was triggered as I was reading through my notes, not triggered in a triggered sense, but like triggered like as a reminder to ask the question.
Yes.
Is like when they're at that party and they're all dancing and like his girlfriend either becomes a lizard creature or is
Just
killed
getting
by a
fucked by
lizard
one.
creature. I'm like, what the like what is this?
With tentacles too.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
John, what about you? Is there something here like because I mean this is 30 years old, but still like it does feel like there's stuff in here that like we haven't seen again, really.
The trapped in the subway thing is just in and of itself like one of my waking nightmares. And the one that like always sticks with me for I don't know why. I think it's just the way that it's played, and especially the way that Robbins is kind of all in for it is the ice bath fever, sequence, which is just like again like I have a very I think it's a very sort of personal relationship to it because I have a very low threshold for fevers and I hate them and
Okay.
and I also hallucinate very easily with fevers, and so there's a sort of a sympathy horror element to that I can never get over, and that to me is always the hardest part of the movie to watch.
I think that moment also really like the movie does a really good job of putting that in scope for you because
Right.
his girlfriend is like so pissed at him for like ruining her
Yeah.
night, and she puts the thermometer in his mouth, and like just to see Elizabeth Pena's like expression change, like when she pulls it out, like oh shit, you're not just like being an asshole, like something is really wrong, and like the way that she's able to sell it in the movie like kind of turns on a dime, like instead of just you ruined my night to oh my god you're about to die, like it's effective.
Yeah, that's my reaction to all these kind of situations. Like, I go like real stark, and like she hit that perfect in the sense that like you just get like real serious, and she's like, "Nope, we need to take care of this now. Gather everyone, gather ice, throw him in the bath. We need to like control the situation."
Right.
And like her flip, you're right. Like her, how she just like snaps right into it it felt very real.
I gotta say too, I know that they toned down, as you referenced, Joey, that they turned down a lot of the overt religious references in the final draft of the script. But not included in that was the fact that his girlfriend's name is Jezebel. Like,
Yes.
as though that's like a name anybody has anymore, for real.
She's a Jezebel. Yeah. It's like a grandma insult for you, right?
Yes, right. Yeah, it's a reference your grandma gets from reading the Bible that nobody else gets, but is very, very offensive and insulting. Yeah, I found that funny. I was like, oh, that's what you kept? You kept- that in the title? That's okay.
One other person I was excited to see in here, and I did not recognize him until there was the one-on-one scene, but then when you see his eyes, it's nobody else. Like, it's Pruitt Taylor Vince, and I don't know if you guys know him from other stuff.
What scene was it? Can you
He's the
describe?
guy who gets killed in the car bomb.
Oh, Rachel saw his eyes and said like she was like he is freaking her out. Like
So he plays because of, I don't know if that's a affliction, I don't think it's a choice, because I've never seen him not have those eyes, but like, he's played like serial killers and kind of creepy dudes. It's unfortunate, but like he's a good actor. And here to have him just kind of like not be a villain, just be somebody affected by this shit of Vietnam, I thought was a really good use of the type of character that he normally plays. But like he's in a movie called Devil's Candy, which is a cool metal as fuck horror movie. Like he plays the killer or whatever in that, or like the menacing villain or whatever. But I like he's just one of those like, oh, that guy, right? But like I like seeing him in this.
yeah, I hate people that get typecasted for physical things. So yeah, that's awesome.
John, is there anything else biblically or allegorically or anything else we have like of major note that we have not yet covered?
No, I don't think so. I mean, there's a lot of very sort of kind of broad allusions to not even necessarily biblical stuff. I mean, obviously there's imagery that kind of like comes right out of the Book of Revelation, and the title tells you that it's a movie that has biblical allusions to it. Yeah, it strikes me as well. Like there's a lot of the formatting of it is very Dante, right? Like Dante's Inferno and Purgatory and Heaven. Like there's a lot of real kind of like stark cuts between mood where like Dante will see something really, really horrific, and then there'll be like a very mundane chat with a Virgil, and like it strikes me as like that was also one of the kind of foundational blueprints, like to make this movie. And I think a lot of movies like this that try to insert kind of either biblical or kind of post-biblical ideas into sort of modern context. I mean, like, the Devil's Advocate being one of them, right? Which I love that movie, and I think I remember you do too.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Yeah, it's a great movie, but it's a great example of like when it's very kind of superficial, right? And doesn't really work. So I think if you want like a better appreciation for some of the elements of what's going on here in terms of anchoring them itself in kind of religious allegory, the story of Jacob's Ladder itself is a good place to start. But like I've told you that story as far as you need to know it. But yeah, I mean, look at the Book of Revelation, which is a really weird like psychological horror story anyway, and Dante, and I think it like gives you a little bit more appreciation for the way that this is very cleverly put together as both a allegory about the horrors of war, and also this sort of like primal human fear of death, and what it could entail.
Yeah, for sure. I'm also looking at, all those things I think could also maybe relate to H.R. Giger's work, which was a very big inspiration for this.
Yeah.
And also just, in that same kind of alien, like apparently Ridley Scott tried to get this going at one point and couldn't, but having seen this movie, I don't think it's any surprise to me knowing your taste that you like this movie. It's like, oh yeah, like this is all the kind, like this is like this in so many different ways. It's like, oh, this is John Brooks like written all over it.
Yeah.
Apparently in the trailer, which we're going to watch in a little bit, there's a lot of stuff that was cut out of the movie. They also have like a lot of like real biblical shit that I was saying, like during the dance scene, all the dancers turned into demons. Jacob had a vision of a celestial staircase. There was a reverend on TV ranting about the world coming to an end. He sees a demon on his living room wall, which then transforms into a portal to hell. The ceiling explodes at one point, and he's surrounded by a vision of heaven. And there's another ending where Jezzy turns herself inside out and becomes a huge demon, which Jacob has to fight before ascending to heaven. It's like, whoa, like that is
Very Jacob stories. Yeah.
in line with what's going on here, but also like, what the hell? What? No.
Very weird, man. This movie's gonna stop me from doing hallucinogens for a little bit. Like, I need to like detox from this movie before I can do hallucinogens again, I think.
Or like don't watch it while you are. That's
definitely no, not even close. I'm saying like I need to like remove this from my brain enough that like I'll be comfortable being like, I don't remember that enough to like really make it happen in my brain. So.
Yeah, it does feel like that combo would kind of like pull a real life The Ring situation where they crawl out of the movie and like just become part of your life.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like this,
Nope.
It lives with me now. Like this is just, all the time. There's demons around.
Not for me. No, sir.
The only other bit of trivia that I want to share is that the guy who wrote this, Bruce Joel Rubin, who also wrote Ghost and Deep Impact,
Okay.
he tried to get this going in the early 1980s, but Hollywood said no, and his agent said no because, quote, Hollywood doesn't make ghost movies. And then he wrote Ghost, and Ghost became a hit, and they're like, well, what now? I'm like, all right, we'll get this made, I guess. So
That's pretty badass. Yeah.
Pretty funny.
Fuck you. I'll make a movie called Ghost. It's like the biggest FU to that guy forever. That's awesome.
I don't remember, John, if you mentioned this. Did you mention the Tibetan Book of the Dead? Because apparently that was a huge influence on this as well. The Bardo Thodol?
Yeah, I've heard that. I know literally nothing about that. That's just outside of my Buddhism knowledge, which, is fairly deep, but not that deep. I read that recently, and I want to check that out. I'll get back to you on that.
Cool. And the other thing and I don't remember why, and this has been driving me crazy all day, because I know we mentioned it one other time this lab, because I explained it one other time this lab.
Go ahead.
But the other inspiration on this is the short story that apparently was adapted into a film, Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge. And Joe, I was explaining this to you that like it's about a guy who is being hanged and the rope breaks and he swims off in the river and then escapes, but then we find out that all of that was just a vision of him in his dying breath or whatever, that the rope actually hung him. And I don't remember what movie we talked about this lab where we talked about that specific thing where it was like that kind of like effectively Jacob's Ladder scenario, but I don't remember what it was. But I know we talked about that at some other point.
I don't remember either, buddy.
Quick question, and I don't have IMDb in front of me, but going back to kind of where we started with this, when we were talking about the whole twist ending, this was around the same time as Dead Again, which has it's different, but a very similar kind of twist ending. And I can't remember which one was first?
That came out a year later.
Okay. I don't. Have you seen that movie?
No,
I've
I
never
didn't
seen
know,
it.
like, there's a whole, like, world of Kenneth Branagh that I don't, like, Kenneth Branagh is, like, a Russian villain in Tenet. I'm like, I didn't know you did not Shakespeare. Like, I know he does not Shakespeare, but, like,
Yeah.
I just so firmly associate him with that wheelhouse, but...
I saw both Jacob's Ladder and Dead Again around the same time, and I was like, "Whoa, twist endings are awesome!" Right? Like it was
Yep.
because they were two. I mean, before Sixth Sense, like they were the two big twist ending movies I'd ever seen in my life. And Dead Again's a great movie, and you should find an excuse to weave that into your podcast at some point as well.
Well, it's on Tubi and Pluto, so you can go watch it for free with ads, so go do that, I guess.
Big Pluto fan here. I
Wow.
am.
Well, it's worth watching for both Robin Williams and Andy Garcia alone.
Robin Williams just popped up in our last movie,
He
Noelle,
did.
which is a terrible, kind of a ghost story Christmas story.
It is a ghost story, Christmas story. You're right. He's a ghost. Yeah, that's right.
Not the one with Anna Kendrick. Different.
No, not the Anna Kendrick spoiler.
Oh, is
becomes
that
Santa
the
Claus.
terrible one with like Susan Sarandon? Is that?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And Paul Walker. Don't
And
forget.
like,
Paul Walker.
isn't like Hector Elizondo in that movie?
I
Like,
don't know.
Penelope Cruz or something.
Penelope Cruz is, yes.
Okay, I had blocked that movie from my memory.
So did Kara.
It just came back.
No, Hector Elizondo, you might be confusing that with like New Year's Eve, which was a Gary Marshall movie, so Hector Elizondo was probably in that.
Maybe. I
Oh.
really feel like Hector Elizondo was in the one I'm thinking of, but maybe it's some other.
Well, that one was written by Chaz Palminteri, so.
Wait, which
maybe
one
that-
was Noelle?
Yeah.
Noelle was directed by Chaz Palminteri,
He
yeah.
directed. Jesus Christ!
Yeah.
What happened?
That's what we ask.
Why does
Listen
that
to our
movie-
last episode.
Why talk about twist endings? Like, why does that movie exist? That's the twist ending I want to know. Like,
I'm looking now at Hector Elizondo's movies, and I don't know what you would confuse as...
okay,
Yeah,
I'm
don't
gonna.
know.
Oh, it has a 29 Metacritic score. That's.
Oh, yeah, it's bad. It's very bad. It's very bad.
It's really bad. Yeah, it's Alan
Yeah.
Arkin. I'm thinking of Alan Arkin. That's what.
Ah, okay.
Yes. Joe, any other thoughts about Jacob's Ladder before we watch the trailer?
Yes, I had some fast connections that I
Go
need
for
to
it.
get out. Because we're doing the Emerald Lap and also memory loss, there was a scene of boxing in this movie at one point, and I was like, oh, was that like a little Emerald nod there? Because
Little
she
girl
was
fight?
boxing a ton. Yeah, she was boxing a bunch in this thing. Or like, physical combat. The other thing I was thinking was when he takes the fever dream bath in the ice, I was thinking, like, this is very Roman on the car door.
Okay.
And the last thing I was thinking was, because they use this drug to mind control them, this is very Spy Racers of them.
It is very Spy Racer Season 2, yeah.
It is.
I'm sort of surprised that we've not had a car bomb in Fast and Furious yet.
Same.
I mean,
We've
we
had
a bomb.
cars blow up, but not
We
like
had
a
a bomb
car
that blows
bomb.
up 1327, spoilers, but, you know.
The other thought that I had was the actress Jezebel. She had very, very, very Gal Gadot vibes to me.
Really?
Yeah, like early on, she had like very Gal Gadot vibes.
I can see it.
I don't know why, like just Giselle specifically, you know what I mean? Like this kind of like mysterious woman that's also guiding you through something.
She had a very, like, sexy, like, sort of an ambiguously sexy quality, like, very, like,
Yes.
confident.
Yes.
Like, in a way that was hard to quantify.
Which I think Gal Gadot has, right?
Well, I think she's just beautiful. Like, I get
mean,
that. Like, I'm just like, yeah, no, yeah, got it.
But also but like Gal knows it, right? Like
Yeah.
she knows it.
John, any other thoughts about Jacob's Ladder?
Go see it. It's a good movie.
It's a good movie. It is a good movie. It's very interesting.
If you have Max Go, if you have the Cinemax app, you can watch it for free on there. All right, let's watch the trailer on YouTube. Jacob's Ladder 1990 official trailer posted by The Cult Box in 2011. 1.5 million views.
Ready
If you guys
when
want
you
to cue
guys
it up, I'll do a 3, 2, 1 play, and we will watch the trailer. So apparently, like I said before, there's apparently a lot in this trailer that's not in the movie. So I'm curious to see what this
Interesting.
trailer looks like.
Okay.
And also, if it gives away a twist. I'm curious to see about that.
Same.
And now it's queued up.
3, 2, 1 play.
TriStar Pictures.
Old ass logo. Like I cannot oversell or overstate my surprise when this started in a war movie. I was like, this is
Same.
like the last thing I expected this to have.
Same, dude. Very, very much same. We didn't talk enough about Macaulay Culkin. Holy fuck.
Every day, Jacob
Getting killed by a car too. Run over by a car.
It's one of those days.
Andy's a
Every day,
mailman.
He wonders what is happening to him.
What?
Oh, I love those people, the girls on the street, like singing Mr. Postman to him. I thought that was a
Yes.
wonderful,
Yeah.
cute moment.
They really nail like New York City teenagers well with that scene.
Look at your hand.
There's also a lot of like just broad general biblical stuff, like the Black Raven, right? Like that's a very biblical
Yep.
element.
Something's wrong, Jake. They're coming after me. I don't know who they are.
Oh,
That's
that's
yeah,
creepy.
that
That's some like
guy.
Vanilla Sky shit
They're gonna
too.
get me, and I'm scared, Jake. I've seen them too.
It's so weird. Car blows up.
Demons are real.
It's running 106 feet with...
The ice bath thing is like my worst nightmare. I hate being cold.
Yes,
So like
that's
if
what
I
I
was
was saying.
having a
Yeah,
fever,
right.
if I was having a fever and you were like, get in an ice bath, and I'm like, I'm already cold, I would be so miserable.
Where am I?
Where do you want to go? Home. This is your home. You're dead.
I know that this movie is like a horror movie, but this makes it seem like even more of a horror movie.
Oh
right?
yeah,
Like,
this is pure horror. Not psychological thriller at all, just pure horror.
Well, yeah, when you throw in all of the stuff that sort of creeps into the movie into a 2-minute trailer, it's going to seem very different. And of course, like, this is to be fair, it's a very difficult movie to sell.
yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Like, when I watched it the first time after seeing the trailer when I was 10 or 11 or whatever it was, I was like, oh, I'm not sure I want to watch this movie. And then it was a very different kind of movie. And all that stuff is in it, or most of it is, but it paced out very differently from the kind
Very
of jump
different.
cuts, right, that you get in the trailer.
Yeah, I agree.
a
Don't
good
watch the
trailer,
trailer. Even if you listen to this podcast and you want to watch the movie, don't watch the trailer.
Yeah, don't.
Just watch the movie instead.
It is a good trailer. Watch it after, like it's because a lot of trailers around this time were not very good. This is actually a very
That's
well
fair.
made trailer.
I can agree with that. Yep.
I will say that, John, you mentioned while we were watching the trailer, this is a hard movie to sell. So this is a movie that Paramount greenlit, then was like, no, you need to change the ending. And they were like, no, we're not changing the ending. And apparently it like went into kind of hiatus, like it wasn't going to get made. Then eventually Carolco Pictures brought in $25 million to like finish it. But like the difficulty in selling this movie essentially was like, yeah, we're not, this is not okay. Like we're not on board with this. Like, what are you doing? But they stuck to their guns and they put out the movie they wanted to make. So like this
That's
feels
awesome.
like the kind of movie that you'd be like, oh, there's like 5 versions. There's like the director's cut and there's the ultimate.
right.
But like there's just the one, as far as I know. There's like the one version. Like that's the movie. So
It's kind of funny you say all that though, because there's almost a joke about a lot of Tim Robbins movies that they are impossible to sell. And like I remember because Hudsucker Proxy and Shawshank Redemption came out around the same time, and it was like, who's going to go see a movie called The Hudsucker Proxy and The Shawshank Redemption? Like, it sounds like a joke. And of course, like at least one of those is a monumental beloved classic, and the other one is one of the best underrated Coen Brothers movies.
yeah, the Hudsucker Proxy, Joe. I don't even. It's about the invention of the hula hoop, which
Yeah.
makes it sound even worse. But it
What?
is amazing. It's great. It's so good.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's a
Really?
great movie.
Okay. Yeah, I would have totally written that one off. Like
Of
just
course,
by
because
title
it's called
alone.
The Hudsucker Proxy, and you're like, I'm not seeing that, right?
It's a terrible name.
Yeah.
So we have one more game on the show, John. We go on letterbox.com, which is, film logging for snobs.
Sure.
And we just do some number guessing game. We're going to do some
this is gonna
movie
be
guessing
hard.
clues.
This is gonna be so fucking hard.
And just so you know, this is all meant to be really difficult. So if you're bad at this, do not feel bad, because like this is
There's
all
no
wildly
bad. There is
difficult.
no good. There's just try.
So for reference sake, Mad Max Fury Road, one of the most popular films on Letterboxd, has been seen by 688,000 people. 688,000. Jacob's Ladder, 1990, directed by Adrian Lyne, starring Tim Robbins, Elizabeth Pena, Danny Aiello, and Matt Craven, has been seen by how many people? Joe?
I'm gonna go 60,000.
Okay, I'm just going to stop. You got it right. I don't know how you did that.
Are you serious?
6168.
I was gonna say 68,000 just to make it like 1/10, literally. But
So, you're both there. So, like, that's kind of amazing.
Holy
I don't know
fuck.
how that happened, but
Again, blind guess. I definitely don't ever look at Letterboxd. I was guessing. Look, I was going. Okay, John's telling us this is kind of a cult film. It's like a first twist ending kind of movie. So I think that will play into this factoring. And then I was like, it's got to be higher than I expect, because it seems like a movie that film snobs would love. So I went 60 off the jump.
okay.
good
So now,
reasoning.
out of those 60,000 people, average rating of 3.71, most common a 4, then a 3.5, then a 3. How many people on Letterboxd have this in their 4 favorite movies, their top 4 movies of all time?
how many people on Letterboxd? Well, how many people are there on Letterboxd?
I will say that The highest number we've seen here is 22,000, but there's also movies that have 0. But there's
Okay.
like tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people on Letterboxd.
So how many of them have this in their top?
Top 4 movies. Like you get to pick your 4 movies that sort of define who you are as a person.
Okay.
It's like your what is your top 8 on MySpace?
Yeah, it's like your MySpace top 8.
I'm going to say 27.
Oh, that's a good number. I'm gonna go a little bit higher. Give me like 63.
You're both way too low.
Oh, I'm glad about that. All right, so I'm going to say 436.
No, that's too high for me. I'm gonna go 125.
John is almost right on, and very fittingly for one of the first things Joe said about this, 420, smoke 'em if you got 'em.
Nice. Wow.
Blaze
that's good.
it, blaze
That's good.
it. Oh,
That's
smoke
good.
that tainted weed.
If you had both gone way lower again there, I would have said one more guess, and it is a very fitting number. So there's like only like, it's either 420 or 666. Like for this kind of movie, it's like one or the other, right?
I would still would have guessed 69.
Oh, I
but
wish
okay.
it was 666. I want to vote for it 241 times.
Make 241 letterbox accounts.
Just a bunch of burner accounts, yeah.
I'll just call Vladimir Putin and have him set them up for me.
We have one more part of this game, John. I'm going to go to someone. So out of those 420 people, I looked at a bunch of people who reviewed it.
Okay.
And I'm going to go to their profile, one of their profiles, and find. You're going to try to guess the other movies in their top 4. And there's a bunch of different wild variations here.
Okay.
But we're going to go to Nate Austin at Nate A on Letterboxd. An influential movie for its time. Since its release, many other films have borrowed visuals and plot points from this fantastic psychological thriller.
Okay.
It's a rare film in that it's actually frightening and creates an uncomfortable atmosphere. Robbins is great as you follow his journey into despair. Great cinematography and score. 5 stars. So
Awesome.
Nate Austin,
Yeah.
his top 4 movies of all time. Number 4, Jacob's Ladder.
Okay.
Okay.
His top 3 movies are 3 of the biggest movies of all time.
Oh,
And they all
crap.
came out
Okay.
before Jacob's Ladder.
Okay. So I was going to say one of them was Dark City, but like he's not that niche. Okay.
Star Wars.
The
One of Star
Godfather.
Wars.
No, but you're both, you're at the right level
Star
of
Trek the motion picture.
bigger than that.
Oh, okay. All right. Citizen Kane.
No, they're all from the 70s and
Okay.
80s. They're all they're all popcorn flicks too.
Okay. First Blood.
Jaws.
Jaws is number 3.
Yikes. Okay, cool. Okay.
Damn.
The other 2, so all the top 3, including Jaws, are all part of franchises.
Okay. The Empire Strikes Back.
No, it's not. Star Wars is not here. Okay. And I would say arguably, probably the best in each. His number 1
Rocky.
it's one or the other. Nope.
Damn.
Oh, good guess though.
Yeah.
Damn good guess. Wow.
They're both more genre-y, I would say, than like Jacob's Ladder is kind of a genre thing. Like it's in that like wheelhouse, like where they're huge movies. I don't know how to describe without giving it away.
Okay.
They're both from the 80s though. Both from the 80s. The first in a franchise and the second in a franchise.
Terminator 2.
The Godfather 2.
Nope. And neither of those are from the 80s.
Terminator 2 was in the 90s, yeah.
And Godfather 2 is in the 70s.
Not Terminator 1.
Nope.
Alien.
Close.
Aliens.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Okay, there you
All
go.
right.
You got it. Good
Okay.
job.
Aliens.
Okay.
Number 1 movie of all time for him. Aliens.
Wow.
Aliens.
Dude.
Blank. Jaws. Jacob's Ladder. So
I
what's number
like
2?
his list, but like you cannot put Aliens. Like if you're gonna put an Alien movie in your top all time, it has to be Alien. Aliens can be in the top 4. It can't be number 1 if Aliens
Without
is
Alien in the
Right.
I wonder, I don't think you're going to have this kind of reaction to his number 2, but I can also see you having a similar kind of reaction to his number 2. It's like undoubtedly one of the greatest movies ever been made.
Oh, Weekend at
But I could
Bernie's.
also, yeah, of course. But other than that, but like this is also, I could also see you specifically being like, no, how could you not have one of its sequels as above it?
Interesting.
But I think you would agree with this, but I don't know.
Oh my god.
I will also say the director of this movie also directed another one of his top 4.
Okay, so it's. I was thinking Spielberg.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, one of its. Indiana Jones and oh god. So it's
The
is it
first one.
Raiders.
Yes.
Okay.
Is Raiders the best indie movie? I think it is.
For sure. I don't hate his list.
No, it's huge.
I'm
Those are
weirded
huge
out
movies.
by
Those are good
Aliens
movies.
being number 1, but like those
why I play
those
this
are
game.
4 quality movies. I also I don't think you should have 2 of the same director on a top 4 list as a rule. But
Interesting.
He grew up in the 80s without cable, so things like the ABC Sunday Night Movie of the Week and renting VHS tapes shaped his film tastes along with the occasional trip to the cinema.
Yeah, I mean, if without Jacob's Ladder, that list would be a little too Dawson's Creek for me. But like throwing in Jacob's Ladder there, I'm like, oh, okay, actually, that kind of validates your opinion of the other three movies.
Yeah, we did, like, last episode for Noelle when we did this, it was Noelle, which is a weird-ass, not a good movie, but it was then, like, The Shining, Silence of the Lambs, and, like, something else. We're like, well, how did Noelle get in here?
And we're like, did you
love
just change
Christmas
it for
and
Christmas?
Sadness. I listened to the Sarah McLachlan album all year long. So,
The weirdest.
and that's just me.
I will
Noelle
also
number
say, though,
4.
Joe, in the other people who reviewed this, somebody else had Paris, Texas in there, and somebody else had Seconds in there, so two of the movies we've covered this lap.
Yeah, I think
So-
having like getting a Wim Wenders movie in there is a smart idea. Like I think Wings of Desire would probably be on my top 4.
Really? Of all time?
Yeah, I think so.
Wow.
It would be 4, but it would be on there.
And City of Angels would be above it, right?
Yeah, that's one. I clearly like. I mean, and I hate doing like remakes and originals, but come on, in that case, no, it would not crack the list. Not even my favorite of the what's the guy who directed John Turteltaub or whatever. Who is that? Who directed it?
I don't know. It's just Iris from the Goo Goo Dolls. Not
Yeah.
Iris from the Goo Goo Dolls. But
I'm pretty
Iris
sure
by
that
the
movie
Goo Goo
was directed
Dolls.
by John Turteltaub, and if I'm wrong, then that's how it goes.
Well, let's find out. I mean, it stars Nicolas Cage and Meg Ryan, so.
Yeah.
City of Angels, directed by Brad Silberling.
Brad Silberling. All right, I get those two confused because they were both like making some pretty standard tearjerkery movies in the 90s. Silberling directed the Casper movie, right?
Oh God,
Yes.
really?
Yes.
Okay, so he had a whole I direct movies about like invisible people who have died or something and hang out with humans
Can I keep you?
genre.
God, now I want to watch that Casper movie.
Oh, Casper was the first episode of Wistful Thinking. When Jordan and Kara started that podcast, I was like, I want to go talk about Casper because that was my favorite movie growing up. That movie, spoiler, does not have an ending. They throw a big party, Casper scares everybody, the kids leave, movie ends. There's no ending. There's no like actual
Well,
resolution. Just,
way to ruin that for me.
Oh, you're
Joey.
dangling the sequel. I mean, like that's a classic cliffhanger.
Well, the sequel is those commercials that he was for Geico now, right?
I think the sequel is the Christmas movie.
He's in Geico commercials now?
Yeah, Casper's in Geico commercials now.
What
He
the
is. That's
fuck?
true.
Just eating popcorn.
Yeah.
Well, John, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for being part of the family now.
I'm so thrilled to have done this.
And now you have to watch a Fast and the Furious movie. We're going to make you do it.
I don't think it's going to happen. I really think I'm just going to resist doing this for the rest of my life. But
That's fine.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah.
I
loss.
keep getting really close. Like, so funny story. I could have been a really early adopter. I had a free ticket to an advanced screening of Fast and Furious
What?
1 in New York City in the summer of 2001, and I didn't go. And I was like, all right, well, this movie doesn't look good, so I'm just not going to go to this thing. I could have gone to see it for free before anybody else. So I think it's sort of like written into the
Resentment.
stars that I'm never going to see any of these movies because like
And then
that's
9/11 happened.
yeah. Yes. Right. I could have
It
stopped
changed
9/11. That's the short end of the. That's the moral of the story.
Let's roll. So you have a podcast that's on hiatus right now, but if people want to hear about Hard to Believe, you had some of my favorite podcast episodes from, I guess, okay, this episode comes out on New Year's Day, so Happy New Year.
Yes.
So I will say that you had some of our favorite episodes on our network that came out last year. So please tell people about Hard to Believe.
Sure. So, Hard to Believe is a show about the nature and various elements of belief. We talk about religion, we talk about spirituality, we talk about philosophy, we talk about historical beliefs that people have. I like to debunk things. I like to clarify things. That is sort of my passion. So I sometimes talk about things that I am interested in that I think people don't understand, and sometimes I invite guests on to share their expertise. So we cast kind of a wide net, but ultimately it's about what I'm interested in, which is what people believe and why. So yeah, we just finished the first season. It's all available now. You can check it out on my blog, which is hardtobelieve.me, or you can go to the Cage Club website and find it all there. I will be starting again on season 2 in late March or early April.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Very cool. I'm trying to think what else I could bully my way into, because we did the X-Files, we did the Leftovers.
Yeah.
We got to do Lost. In season 2, we got to do something with Lost.
I have some ideas for you, so
Good. Cool.
So yeah, hold that thought.
Well, Joe, next week we have a double dose of Fast and Furious Spy Racers Sahara.
Yes. It comes out soon, even in real time.
In real time, yeah, we're recording this a little bit in advance because we have the benefit of foresight and hindsight or something.
Yeah.
But yes, by now it is out on Netflix. It came out the day after Christmas.
That's right.
So on Tuesday, you and I are talking about it alone. And then on Friday, we are joined to officially, finally, thankfully, mercifully, bring this lap to a close by bringing back Nico and Kevo one more time to talk about Fast and Furious Spy Racers Sahara.
Yes.
John, maybe that's how you get it. You show your daughters the Spy Racers Netflix cartoon. We have one very faithful listener who has tried to show it to his son who's about 10. And after one episode, he's like, Dad, do we have to keep watching this? So, like, he is, like, firmly out. Like, he has no interest. But I think maybe, your daughters might like it. I don't know. There's a lot of cool girls in there. It's, like, very cool.
It is cool.
Female-focused and sort of badass ladies. So, maybe?
Maybe. I don't know. They're really into Star Wars right now, so.
That's cool.
Oh, by the way, I don't know if this is a recommendation to everyone and also to you specifically. There is a Disney Plus show called Earth to Ned. Have you heard about this?
It rings a bell. Yeah.
So it is a talk show that is hosted by an 8-foot-tall puppet by the Jim Henson Company. And it is family-friendly and also legitimately funny. I've watched 2 episodes so far, and it is really good, and it's on Disney Plus. And, like, if your daughters like Star Wars and just, like, kind of fantastical creatures, like, it's a late-night format with, like, celebrities that you like being personable and talking to an alien about who wants to conquer Earth. Like, it's the weirdest and coolest premise and legitimately great puppeting. Like, it's super cool. So Disney Plus, Earth to Ned.
Yeah, they'll love that. We'll check that out.
20-minute episodes, too. You're in, you're out, you're done.
That's good. That's always good, yeah.
Something that tied us over before the 47 new Star Wars series start on Disney Plus.
Yeah, you gotta somehow get use of your Disney Plus before, now that Mandalorian has ended, but before all the Marvel, like, I guess WandaVision starts in, like, 2 weeks or something, right? So, like, between now and then, Earth to Ned, baby.
All right.
For all things Too Fast, Too Forever, you go to cageclub.me, facebook.com/TooFastTooForever, or at TooFastTooForever on Twitter and Instagram. Email us, family@cageclub.me. Come back next week for a double dose of Spy Racers Sahara. Check out our Patreon page at TooFastTooForever.com and check out our shop store at TooFastTooForever.shop. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
I'm Joe, too.
And that was John Brooks of the Hard to Believe podcast, and we'll tell you all about it
when we see you